So keeping Ken in our thoughts and prayers. If I could just ask to go to the next slide. If you may, Kristen. And as we do that, before we begin our presentation with our etiquette reminded, your etiquette, and with the recognition of the sense of loss that we have, I'd now like to ask to welcome us here tonight. And we're so thrilled that he's here. We work hand in hand as best we can with the Township of East Brunswick. And the mayor has been an unwielding partner with us, someone who's worked with us to try to make sure that we accomplish what we want to be, which is a good neighbor and a great steward for the environment within the landfill. And I'm proud to introduce him to you now, the mayor of East Brunswick, Mayor Brad Cohen. Mayor?
Mayor Cohen, if you could just unmute yourself, and you should be fine to speak, okay?
Mayor Cohen?
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Hello?
Mayor, we can hear you, please.
Oh,
Go
perfect, great. No, of course, I want to thank you, Senator, for coming here today. And as everybody knows, having a good partner with the MCUA is extraordinarily important to the township. And it actually fulfills one of our objectives, and that is to look at sustainability from the standpoint of how we could be good partners and good stewards of the environment. And as I could promise to you and to our residents, we have made a lot of efforts. We are now from a Sustainability New Jersey point of view, we have our silver status. So it's important that we recognize the things that we could be doing as a township to be even better. Our sustainability committee is actually working this year on a project which is to educate the public more about recycling and the use of the landfill, and how we need to be diligent at making sure that that landfill is able to fulfill its obligation, and we actually slow the rate at which it expands, so that we learn how to renew, reuse, repurpose a lot of the products that we have. And we're going to work together with you and the MCUA to make sure that we get that message out to all our residents. And again, thank you for doing this for the township, and appreciate all your support.
Mayor, we thank you, and thank you for the kind welcome. You'll hear us tonight talk about trying to be great environmental stewards with the landfill. And we thank you for your partnership with that. So with that, Kristen, if we can, let's move to the video. But before you start, I just want to make sure folks understand one particular point of it. In a moment, we're going to show you a drone video that was taken just a couple weeks ago, in the month of February, actually, for the landfill. So you'll see it very current. One of the things I'd like you to understand as we go through the presentation is the landfill is divided into cells. And without getting too technical in terms of how we build and platforms and so on, think of it this way. Cells are no different than, say, the township of East Brunswick having 6 or 7 different zip codes. You can imagine what a map of that might look like. That's what cells are. They're particular areas of the landfill that we're able to refer to. And you may hear that over the course of the next few slides in the video. We just wanted to make sure you understood that before we began. So with that, Kristen, why don't we go ahead and start the video?
The Middlesex County Utilities Authority began landfill operations in 1988. The original Edgeboro landfill dates back to the 1950s. The landfill site includes 315 acres, of which 247 acres are dedicated to the landfill. There are hundreds of additional acres that are buffers and green space. As we enter the Middlesex County landfill, you will see the office and the maintenance buildings, along with the scale facilities where all incoming trucks are weighed and processed. Below is the 20-acre East Brunswick leaf composting and wood grinding site, which is one of the host community benefits that the MCUA provides to East Brunswick residents. Approaching the landfill from the west, with the Pine Ridge section of East Brunswick behind us, you will see the two operating work faces where an average of 1,700 tons of waste is disposed of on a daily basis. Continuing south towards Route 18, the western slope of the landfill that was recently capped can be seen. This 18-acre slope faces the Pine Ridge section of East Brunswick. The project was completed in the summer of 2020. Uncapped areas of the landfill not currently in use are covered with 2 feet of soil. Also below is the top ring of the new odor control system and a material staging area for landfill gas system improvement projects.
Thank you, Kristen. And while the video was to the point, we now want to just give you a little information about who we are at the MCUA. We're supporters of local education for the environment and for the landfill itself. Many of you may have joined us in our tours a couple of years ago, and we're looking forward to having live tours soon. But with that, we provide environmental education efforts for not only for grade school students, but high school and college as well. We're a financial supporter of the county. We pay taxes. We're a financial supporter to our neighbors. And we're also committed to county recycling and municipal recycling programs as well. We provide, as was mentioned in the video, 20 acres to East Brunswick to allow for composting. And you'll see us mention that a little bit more as we move through. As was mentioned in the video, you see 152, in fact, more acres that are there as a buffer for not only the area of East Brunswick, but for other surrounding areas as well. And we like to consider ourselves partners. The mayor mentioned many different groups. We'd like to be partners with all of them. But particularly, we've been working with the Environmental Commission and the New Jersey Audubon Society. So with that, Kristen. So what do we do with the landfill? Well, we provide disposal and waste for 825,000 residents that live in Middlesex County, 25 different communities, 48,000 of which are from the township of East Brunswick. We are not a 24/7 operation. We do get confused a little bit with the Sayreville facility for the MCUA, which is a 24/7 operation. We operate about 300 days a year. As many of you probably know, we work Monday through Friday and a half day Saturday. We're off on holidays, just like your trash is not picked up each and every holiday. We don't work Sundays, so about 300 days a year. And to the mayor's point earlier about how we can be more sustainable and what things we can do to make a difference. Well, as mentioned in the video, we process about 1,700 tons of trash a day, which comes out to about 3.4 million pounds. Now think about that, 3.4 million pounds of trash a day. That averages out to about 4.4 pounds of waste a day for each and every resident of Middlesex County. So if we could, a lot of folks have said to us, and we've all learned a lot from our COVID experience over the past year or so. If you think about ways that you can help with sustainability, we can ask one directly. Look at ways that you can reduce the amount of trash that you create each day. Each bit makes a difference. And that's something we can ask of you each and every day. Kristen? So here's what we're going to talk about tonight in a little bit more in detail. We're going to show you the completion of that final side slope closure project, which was a key part of our presentation the last time we had the opportunity to meet in future in the past. Our landfill gas collection system, as you know, we spoke often about the need the last time we met to make sure that we were capitalized, and we made significant investments there. We're going to talk to you in some greater detail about that. Our planned capital improvements, what we see for the future. You'll see some of those projects as we list them. Our coordination efforts, with East Brunswick, and how we can be better partners and continue to be great partners. And our future planning requirements for the landfill itself. So with that in mind, next slide, please. I'm going to introduce to you our Solid Waste Division Manager, Paul Clark.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Good evening, everyone. When we met with area residents in January of 2019, we discussed that based on numerous factors, we had made the decision to fast track a planned $10 million final cap project on the Edgeboro Road side of the landfill. We believe this would help curtail the potential for odors, and given the proximity to our neighbors, we wanted to make this project a priority. The most important part of this project for East Brunswick residents who live in Pine Ridge is that this closure means MCUA will never place waste in this area of the landfill again. So let me give you some particulars. Construction of the final side slope closure began in August of 2019 and was substantially completed in June of 2020. The total area capped was approximately 18 acres. Executive Director Crine mentioned earlier cells. We have the portions of cells 1, 5, 6, and 9, which are run along Edgeboro Road on the western face of the landfill, were part of this closure. A significant part of MCUA's overall plan that we discussed with you when we met in 2019 was this project to, again, reduce odors on site. Once the cap was installed, it included 60 milliliters of LLDEP liner, included geocomposite drain, 12-inch of drainage sand, geotextile fabric, and 6 inches of topsoil. Also, we installed, which was very important, infrastructure to manage contact and non-contact stormwater. This included 1,300 linear feet of gabion downshoots, 5 precast concrete box culverts, 8,000 linear feet of riprap diversion swales, and 4,000 linear feet of HDPE piping. Again, the final construction cost for this project was $10 million. And again, the one point I want to make you aware of again is the MCUA will never place waste in this area, which again runs very close to Pine Ridge, will never place waste in this area again. There's one more slide with a few pictures. The project came out great. We were very happy with it. Thanks very much for your attention. I'll now call on Bob Leslie, our landfill engineer, to take you through the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Robert Leslie. I'm here this evening to discuss the landfill's odor control system. In response to the complaints received during 2018, the MCUA and its consultant investigated different technologies to help mitigate any odors that may occur at the landfill. We settled upon a vaporization type system that was completed in the summer of 2019. This system consists of approximately 20,000 linear feet, 4-inch diameter perforated piping that loops around the top and bottom of the landfill. Examples of the pipings here. Okay, attached to this piping system are 6 individual units shown here that vaporize the NJDEP approved product, which reacts on a molecular level with any odor that greatly reduce the potential to travel off-site. I would like to add that DEP routinely performs inspections of the site to verify compliance with regulatory requirements. As I stated, this product, manufactured by GOC Technologies, is DEP approved and is part of our Title V air permit. It also does not contain any hazardous or toxic materials as indicated by its safety data sheet. And this safety data sheet is on MCUA's website and has been since the beginning of operation of the system. On this drawing, you'll see the purple lines, which shows the layout of the units and the piping. It borders the Pine Ridge section on the left, Route 18 corridor on the bottom, and South River and several towns on the right. A little bit of Edison coverage on the top also. The cost of this system was approximately $2.8 million, and we believe has aided, along with other projects, the reduction in odor complaints received. Next, I would like to introduce Chris Keller, who will discuss the improvements to the gas system and other capital projects.
Good evening, everyone. Before I go give everyone an update on the landfill gas collection system improvements, I would like to briefly explain for those of you who may be new on the call, what happens to waste after it's deposited in a landfill, the importance of a landfill gas collection system, and just a brief explanation of how our gas collection system works. So when waste is deposited in the landfill, over time, the organic portion of that waste begins to decompose. A byproduct of that anaerobic decomposition is landfill gas. It's important to collect landfill gas because it can be used as an energy source. It prevents fugitive emissions and also to control odors on the site. Our landfill gas collection system at the landfill consists of about 350 vertical wells and other collection devices, and a series of and a network of collection piping, which extract gas from the landfill. This gas is then conveyed via a pipeline to our cogeneration facility in Sayreville. At that facility, it's turned into electricity, and that electricity is used to power our wastewater treatment plant. Back in 2019, we made a commitment to provide additional capital to increase the collection efficiency of our landfill gas collection system. I can happily say that as of the summer of 2019, we've completed 4 landfill gas collection system improvement projects. These projects have consisted of the installation of 105 vertical wells. These wells were drilled anywhere from 75 to 120 feet in the waste mass, an installation of about 21,500 feet of collection piping. So the total cost of these improvements was approximately $5 million. I'd also like to report that we have 2 more additional projects, one slated for this year and one for early next year. Total estimated cost for these projects is around $3 million, and this will also consist of the installation of additional wells and collection piping. So this map here just gives everyone kind of an idea of the extent of these improvements. Just to orient everybody, Edgeboro Road's on the left. Pine Ridge would be further left, not shown in the map. The green area are projects that we completed since 2019, within the last 2 years. The blue area is a project that we currently have under construction and should be completed within the next couple weeks. And the yellow area are the 2 projects that are slated for this year and early next year. So from the photo, you can see that once the final 2 projects are completed, we have basically reconstructed the entire gas collection system over the top of the landfill. This has resulted in a significant reduction in odor complaints. We also have some additional capital improvement projects planned besides the gas system. We have 2 temporary cover projects on the southeast and north slopes of our landfill. These are planned for this year and early next year. This cover would consist of a geocomposite drain, an LLDPE liner, and a wind defender ballast system. This basically is tensioned over the liner and holds the liner in place. You can see a picture of what this will look like after it's completed. The primary function of this product is to aid in preventing erosion on the side slopes, but it also has an added benefit where it helps to prevent fugitive emissions on site. We also created a yearly on-call liner contract, and this contract gives us the ability to respond quickly to an area where we feel it may be necessary to provide temporary cover. So here is a map that kind of gives everyone an idea of what has been permanently covered and what has been temporarily covered. Again, just to orient everybody, Edgeboro Road's on the left, Pine Ridge would be further left. The dark green areas are areas of the landfill that have been permanently closed. The yellow area is an area of temporary cover that was completed in 2018. And the light blue area are the 2 projects that we have planned in 2021 and 2022. The total area of this coverage is around 65 acres. Joe?
I want to take a moment and thank Paul, Bob, and Chris for their presentation. And then just briefly finish up here. I mentioned to you earlier that we try very much to work in coordination with local. You'd be surprised at what we see in the landfill. And I want to take a moment and thank the folks in this room and the folks who work with them. COVID has been a challenge for each and every individual that can hear my voice, and we understand that. At the landfill, we've obviously gone through reduced staff. Obviously, the things that have affected every other business affected us. By the way, the tonnage at the landfill is actually down in the past year because we believe, obviously, of COVID. But I really want to take a moment and thank our staff for their adjustments, as so many have done, whether it's half shifts, whether it's different times, whether it's making sure from the testing and the rest. I want to take a moment and publicly thank those folks as well for a job well done. With that said, landfill itself obviously requires a lot more than just the work and the folks and the wildlife that's there. Frankly, has its own kind of environment. So I mentioned to you that we work with the Environmental Commission. One of the things we do is the Winter Birding Day, which was held on January 9th, brought together the East Brunswick Environmental Commission and the Friends of the East Brunswick Environmental Commission. And if you didn't know, they found red-tailed hawks, the goldfinch, which is actually New Jersey state bird, so you can learn something else this evening, hummingbirds, which are unique, and a variety of different wildlife. If you follow us on social media, and we hope you do, we have a Facebook page, Middlesex County Utility Authority. You'll have seen it just a few days ago. Bob Leslie, who spoke to us earlier, posted a picture of a bald eagle nesting, or resting, I should say properly, on the landfill. There are a variety of different wildlife, and we try to be good stewards and make sure that it provides an opportunity for nature to recover as well at the landfill, despite the disposal of trash. So with that said, Kristen, next slide. So the birding event we found to be very interesting. Folks get pretty excited about what they see. We like that. And we like the fact that we're partners with that and that there could be more opportunities for that in the future. We do coordinate with East Brunswick for a compost facility. That facility, essentially what we do is we process through a grinder, leaves and brush, and then that is ultimately used for compost. East Brunswick takes care of that. And that, by the way, is something you should consider, as those leaves and that brush are something not deposited on the landfill, but again used for a positive nature resource for the frankly the improvement of the environment overall. Kristen, we want to be part. We have not been over the years enough of a neighbor for East Brunswick, and while you see the picture there, we're hopeful that there's an East Brunswick Day in 2021 and in the years ahead, and we're hopeful that we're part of what is certainly a wonderful event and a partnership with East Brunswick moving forward. So a couple other things, if I may, for future planning, and then we'll open it up to your questions for as long as you like. Solid waste facility permit renewal and a food waste recycling facility. And I'm going to start with the food waste recycling facility. In the trash that we take at the landfill, about 20 to 25% of that, it is estimated, is comprised of organics. Organics essentially being food waste. And if you think about it at home, how much food do you throw out? Those organics can be, if processed correctly, create via digestion and a process I'll mention in just a moment, and can actually be processed from an organic waste to create a biogas, which is highly effective and can in fact create energy, positive energy for the future for use as a biogas. So the MCUA, we here at the MCUA are looking at and have begun the process of discussions for a food waste recycling facility. What does that mean? It means a facility that would take 20 to 25% of the trash that comes into the MCUA landfill, take it, process it, be an organic treatment and digestion, create a slurry, and ultimately take that slurry, take that organic waste, and create a highly desirable biogas. We have taken the request for qualifications. There were a number of firms interested in this, and we've listed them out, and we've settled on a few that will be part of the discussion as we move from the request for qualifications. We've qualified some folks, and moving now in 2021 to a request for proposals as we work for a public-private partnership to potentially move and take food waste, organics off of the landfill waste for the future. That said, the landfill itself has plenty of capacity. You might recall that when we spoke to you in 2019, the question came up quite often as to how long will the landfill be there. We have capacity that's not based on a specific calendar date, but is worked through tonnage. So what you do is you estimate that tonnage and see how far out you can go. Our estimates right now take us to about 2029. Might be 2030, might be a little less. Certainly COVID and things like reduction of putting things on the top of the landfill like we want would obviously affect that date moving forward. So we do have the capacity and we're permitted for that capacity. However, every 5 years, you are required to go to the New Jersey DEP, which this landfill is as regulated, as heavily regulated as any landfill in the state, and I would argue probably any in the country. Every 5 years, you go for a renewal permit where folks come in and say, hey, are you basically running the place correctly? And that 5-year permit is up in 2022, September of 2022 to be correct. And we will be beginning that process of looking for a renewal in the third quarter, fourth quarter of 2021. So I want you to be aware of that so you know what's happening with us. And with that said, I'm going to ask our folks to move forward up here so we can answer and take any questions that you have. I thank you all for your attention. I hope we didn't rush through it, but we wanted to give you as much information as we could. Please, guys, come on up. We wanted to give you as much information as we could and certainly make sure that you're aware of what we have. We thank you for your time and we thank you very much for participating in this presentation this evening. And again, Mayor Cohen, thank you. So with that, Kristen, let's open up to questions and see what folks have. Thank you.
We ask that you please raise your hand and you will be called on to ask a question.
Why don't we go with the mayor first?
Okay. Mayor?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Just two quick questions. One is the complaints that really generated a lot of the meetings that we had 2 years ago. I know that you keep records of that. I can tell you with certainty that I've seen virtually no complaints since we addressed this 2 years ago. But I was hoping that you might be able to comment on what you've seen from your end, because I know you keep statistics on that. And then I guess the second question is, we've seen in our town an actual increase in the number of things of our refuse and bills. And that's primarily because during COVID, more people have been home, kids have been in school, people are doing redos of their homes. And so our expenses actually went up. So are we counter everyone else that you should be seeing a decrease in the amount of garbage compared to the fact that we in town have actually seen an increase?
Mayor, thank you for the question. I'm going to answer your second part first and then come on. Frankly, Mayor, everybody in COVID has cleaned out their attic and their garage. And as many of you may realize, our residential waste is actually up. But the commercial aspect, and think about it, the restaurants have been closed, for example, those sort of things, has led to the decline in the tonnage overall. So residential component, to answer your question, would be the most logical reason that you have seen that. And that, by the way, is not unique to East Brunswick. I can tell you that from March to May, we were astonished as to how many folks took the time to clean out those attics and garages that we saw. So I think that's why you may see that imbalance and why you may have seen a little bit of growth in that. To answer the first part of your question, first and foremost, I would reference to everybody, please take a look at our website, MCUA.com. Bob mentioned it in his presentation for the data sheets. I will mention it to you again. We keep every odor complaint on file there, whether we consider it, for lack of a better way to put it, valid or not. We go out and we actually check each complaint to make sure that we don't have an issue. And sometimes, to be candid, it's not us. And sometimes, frankly, it is. The reason for that is pretty straightforward. We want to make sure that if we have an issue that we're following up immediately because we've made that commitment to you that we would do so. There are 2 complaints this year with the first quarter nearly completed on that website. So you'll only see 2. Frankly, both of those, we could talk about that, but we did see a decline in 2020. The investments that we've made, Mayor, it was most important to collect the gas correctly. Frankly, our wells were too far apart and we needed to, and when we say wells, as Chris mentioned, those wells are 75 to 120 feet deep. We're not just taking a spoon and shoveling out a hole. So those investments were important, complemented with the odor control system that we made the investment in, and we think that's helped for the quality of life for our neighbors in all communities.
Now, we've definitely seen a dramatic drop in complaints in our office because we would always field them before many times it even got to you. So I definitely appreciate the work on everybody's part to get us to this point. Really is tremendous. And I'll just end by saying that we do have a sustainability committee, which is a subgroup off of our environmental commission. And their big task, among others this year, is to actually try to go out and educate the public on all different ways in which we can be doing things that would be helping make the earth in general more sustainable, but things that we could do practically to help maintain the landfill. And we would like to include with that tours of the landfill, educational series, so that people really understand the science behind it. It's a very educated community. If you kind of deal with them directly with the cold, hard facts, I don't think it's hard to understand this is science. So I appreciate your cooperation with us on that. And again, thank you very, very much for putting this on tonight.
Mayor, thanks. We'd love to be a partner with the Sustainability Committee, and we are very much looking forward to our tour guides here in front of me are very much looking forward to getting back to offering tours. As you know, we're outside, so we do have some visibility, but we certainly, so we have some additional safety opportunities, but we really want to make sure that folks have accessibility to the landfill, that you get a chance to see it as well. You can call us at the landfill as well to talk about arranging a tour if you'd like. 246-4313, that's 732-246-4313. And we would love to have you as soon as we can, as soon as the safety protocols allow for it, which we all hope is sooner than later. We want to be engaged in that as well. Plus, we want to show off the work we've done.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Our next question is from Catherine. Catherine, you may unmute yourself.
Okay, hello. Thank you for the meeting. It's very helpful. I had actually 3 questions. One is, what do you see as the direction of waste as the landfill closes?
Okay. Direction of waste as the landfill closes. So, Catherine, first off, thanks for your question. A couple things, and I probably should have mentioned this when I spoke at the podium, Catherine. The landfill itself is one of the economic opportunities that Middlesex County has that separates it from many other counties. The mayor mentioned I have a hat that I wear, and I live in Union County. Union County chose years ago to take the incinerator route. So that same disposal of waste done in a home in the township of Union where I reside versus, say, the township of East Brunswick where you are potentially, is much cheaper. So from an economic resource, the landfill itself helps in terms of businesses potentially relocating. And while it may not show in terms of COVID cleanouts and so on, generally a far more affordable disposal opportunity for residents of Middlesex County. With that said, for the future, there aren't a lot of options. The plan that we have here at the MCUA is to look for options that provide less waste on the landfill itself. Food waste recycling, if it works, and again, I want to emphasize that we are in the qualification, we just completed the qualification stage. If we're able to engage in a public-private partnership, we would look to potentially reduce waste up top by 20%. For those who engaged with us in previous years, they know we use a cover. That's a product provided by our wastewater treatment called Meadow Life. We are looking here on campus at Sayreville to ways to literally reduce and to end Meadow Life as a function of what we provide as an end product here. So we continually are looking for ways to reduce the product that we put on the landfill. In terms of technology, we haven't seen anything out there that eliminates waste per se, that also provides, to the mayor's point, to ours, an environmentally sustainable model as well. I hope that answered your question, Kathy.
Yeah. Yes, it was very, very good answer. I guess my question is, if it closes in 2029, what will Middlesex County be doing with its waste at that point?
Catherine, let me be clear. We are currently permitted to 2029 as whatever that date is, but for the ease of this discussion, we're saying 2029. And as a reminder, it's based on tonnage. I will tell you today, while I don't speak for the commissioners, here at the MCUA, our plan is to potentially utilize that landfill for a longer period of time. And that is something that the years will define and technology will define. But as I talk to you today, here in March of 2021, there is not a more effective, cost-effective, and environmentally safe manner to dispose of waste than to utilize a landfill.
Okay, so my second question would be, I've noticed many residents continue to throw out grass and other very obvious biomass. Would it be beneficial if that was possibly collected with leaves and used in the composting there?
So I'll answer that question. Currently, leaves are banned from the landfill. And unfortunately, grass breaks down at such a rapid rate and generates a lot of odors. Grass is allowed to come into the landfill. Obviously, we do suggest to residents mulch the grass into their lawn, but you can't force people to do that. So currently, grass is a constituent that we accept.
Okay. And I guess my final question is, how much tonnage did it go down last year?
10%, 12%, so 40,000. About 40, excuse me, Catherine, I'm sorry to yell like that and answer. About 40,000 tons.
40, and that's what percentage, sorry?
Between 10 and 12%.
10 and 12. And that's from commercial decreasing probably more than 10 to 12% because residential did go up.
Okay. And actually, you're exactly right on that, Catherine. Commercial aspect of waste being reduced. And also we did receive less ID 13, which is a commercial waste product as well last year.
Okay. Thank you.
Catherine, thank you. We're so thrilled you're engaged. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Please raise your hand.
Do we have any others? Let's give it just an extra moment. We're just checking to make sure we don't want to cut.
You don't know how to raise your hand. It's down in the reactions at the bottom. And if you click that, it has a hand raise, or you can do any sort of reaction. And I'll click on you.
No. Well, we want to take a moment on behalf of myself and the team here at the MCUA and the Middlesex County Landfill. We want to thank the mayor. We want to thank all of you for participating. We hope you gained information from this. We will be back to live tours soon, and we hope to see you at the landfill, so to speak. And thanks so much. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you, everybody.